Title: The Miracle That Shook the Village. Opening scene: a small peaceful village in Nigeria, where the sound of birds and children playing fills the air. But inside one quiet home, an old woman sits alone, staring at the sky with tears in her eyes. Mama Ife had been married for 40 years, yet she had never carried a child. She was a kind woman, always the first to help others. If a baby was born in the village, she was there to bathe the child. If a woman was in labor, she was the first to rush in with prayers. Yet, despite all her kindness, her womb remained empty. The whispers followed her everywhere. A woman without a child is like a tree without fruit, they said. What is her use? Others mocked. Her husband, Papa Ife, loved her dearly, but the pain was too much to bear. When he passed away 5 years ago, many believed she would die childless and alone. The miracle that shook the village. At 64 years old, Mama Ife had accepted her fate. She spent most of her days in church, praying for others, never for herself. But one day, after a long night of prayer, she felt something strange in her body. At first, she thought it was sickness. But when she went to the doctor, the news was unbelievable. Mama Ife, you are 3 months pregnant. The doctor's voice echoed in her ears. Impossible. She cried, tears running down her wrinkled face. But it was true. The news spread like wildfire. Some rejoiced, some doubted. But when her stomach grew, the whole village held their breath. 9 months later, Mama Ife went into labor. It was the longest night in the village's history. Women gathered outside her house, singing praises, while men stood with arms crossed, anxious but hopeful. Then the first cry was heard. Then the second. Then the third. It's triplets, the midwife shouted. And at that moment, the entire village erupted into madness. People fell to the ground, rolling in joy. Some climbed trees, screaming at the top of their lungs. Drums started beating, and the news spread from one house to another. Mama Ife has given birth to triplets at 64. Men poured palm wine into the streets, and women danced until their feet were sore. The elders called it the greatest miracle in their history. The celebration. For 7 days and 7 nights, the village celebrated. The king sent gifts, declaring that the triplets would be raised as royalty. Strangers traveled from faraway lands to witness the miracle. Even those who once mocked Mama Ife knelt before her, begging for forgiveness. She held her 3 babies Ife, Chukwu, and blessing, and with tears in her eyes, she whispered, God is never late. His time is always perfect. Lesson and moral. God's timing is different from man's timing. Delay is not denial. Mockery can turn into testimony when you keep faith. Kindness always comes back. Mama Ife cared for others, and in the end, the whole village celebrated her miracle.